join with me today as we make Christmas fruitcake. Hi, it's Kylie, if you haven't been on my channel before, and I love to share life, cooking, gardening, whatever is going on for the day, and I just want to share with you and hopefully share some tips and tricks along the way. So join with me today as I make Christmas fruitcake. Now this is for those that don't like a strong, rich fruitcake. This one is not that. This one is a lot lighter. This one is very easy to make. There's no stress, no fuss. But yeah, join with me as I do that. I am trying new camera angles and different lighting. I'm just going to open this blind and see if it makes a difference. Oh yes, makes quite a difference. So yes, join with me as we do that, and yeah, if you do want the recipe, I will actually put it down below or add it to the comments, whichever works for me. I'm still learning, and yeah, I look forward to hearing what your comments are or having you share your experience with making this yourself. Here we go. First things first, we need to get this oven going. I'm one of those people that cooks just about everything at 180 degrees up. Anyway, it's around 180 degrees Celsius, or what I would call a medium oven heat, whatever you're cooking with. So preheat your oven while you're doing the rest. And take out extra dishes that just hang out in there, and make sure your cooking rack is in the middle. So that's that part done. The next thing is to get a pot. It's a medium-sized pot. How many litre? 20 centimetre, 2.9 litre pot, and we are going to add our fruit into here and then cover it with water. So I am going to do 1 cup of sultanas or raisins. This here, 1 cup. And then I'm going to add a packet of fruitcake mix, cake fruit mix, and this one is 400 grams or 2.5 cups. This is the sticky part. Yes, you'll see I've got a bit of cleanup to do. Don't judge me, I've still got a dishwasher to empty. So this is going to have water over it, and I'm showing you because sometimes people aren't sure how much water to put in. There's no measurement for this. It's okay, we will drain some out. So you're basically trying to cover the fruit. Some of it's sitting in a little mound. Poke it down, and that is now covered. Great. Now we're at the oven again, and we are going to put this on using gas, and I normally put it on about a medium, and I'm going to bring that to the boil, and then it's going to simmer for 5 minutes. So while that's doing its thing, we're just going to leave it here and ignore it. And while it's doing its thing, we're going to work on the rest, but let me put an apron on just to protect my clothes, and I'll be right back for the next stage. And before I do that, I'm going to, well, I've got the apron on, but before I move to the next stage, I'm actually going to go into the pantry and put things away. I like to pull out and put away as I go, and it just makes my life easier knowing I haven't got a massive cleanup at the end. So I'm doing this in my pantry because all my ingredients are around me in here, and it saves me doing a lot of coming and going and toing and froing. So this is my Kenwood mixer, which I do it, but I've done it in a bowl for many, many years, decades even. But I'm just using this for convenience, especially for the first part. So the first part is that I add eggs in here, and I am going to put in, let's say 3 according to the recipe, because I'm just doing a single batch, not a double batch. So let me put those 3 eggs in, and I'm going to change this for the beating whisk, but I will come back to this for the mixing. It says to beat the 3 eggs until it is frothy. So I've got a little basket of eggs right here. And I tend to get a bowl to gather all my rubbish and bits that are left over. So I've got one of those right here. I'll move you over so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to shoot back a wee bit. There you go. So I'm putting these into another bowl, but I shouldn't be, because this is going to be my scraps. I make that mistake quite often. That's 1. 2, 3. 3. Now I don't need that scrap bowl for a wee bit, so I'm going to put it aside. Just out of your vision, really. It's not far away. Move you forward. I will need to adjust the sound for this bit, but here we go. Beating these eggs until frothy. You can add now your essence and sugar, but I'm just going to get the yolks combined first. Right, the next thing is sugar. See what I mean? Right here. And it tells me to add 1 cup of sugar. I am looking at the recipe because there's a few ingredients in this. 1 cup of sugar. I have cup measures with these bowls. So that's 1 cup. Then I have got essence. So I've got vanilla, lemon and almond essence, and it's a teaspoon of each. I've got a little container here where I keep all my, I would say my sweet things, desserty things, which is sachets of dessert, and also my essences. So a teaspoon of each would look like orange essence. No, let's not. Almond. Lemon, vanilla. I could have measured these all into containers first, but I really don't operate that way, and I'd rather show you some true life, I guess, real life. And this goes straight back up. So the next thing I'm going to do is beat this until frothy. So I'll show you what that looks like when it's frothy. At this stage, I'm just going to check on the sultanas and water mix. So come with me. So you can see that simmering away there. It doesn't have to be a massive rolling boil, but that's a nice simmer. So I'm now going to set a timer and I'll lower the temperature a wee bit. And I'm going to, it's got no numbers, so I can't tell you the numbers, but I'm just lowering so it stays on a simmer, and I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. Sometimes I like to use my watch, so I just get my watch on and I push the 5. So at least then it's going to buzz and it's not going to disturb the world. Right, back to the egg mix. That's got a nice froth to it. I don't know if you can tell from there, but can you see that? It's thick, very thick. I'll get you a bit closer, shall I? See, it's very thick. When you run through it, you can see. It's fantastic. So that's what frothy eggs means, for those of you that have got inquiring minds. So yes, I am going to change out. And I use my scrap bowl to put dirty dishes in. So now goes on my K mixer. I don't know what other people call it, but that's my K for Kenwood on this one, or K for Kylie. Anyway, so I'm putting this back on so I can do the rest of the mixing. So the next thing I'm going to put in is my flour, and it says 2 cups of flour. One of these, which also has a scoop in it, which I love. 2 cups. 1. And 2 cups. I need to order some more flour. Hey Google, add flour to the list called groceries. Now for my spices. I've already wet my other teaspoon measure, so I have another one which is handy. So this is cinnamon, 1 teaspoon each of cinnamon. Here it is on my spice rack, which is right here. Cinnamon. A teaspoon of nutmeg. And then a teaspoon of baking powder, which I have above me here. Cinnamon, nutmeg and baking powder. I always recheck the recipe as I go, because we all know it's quite painful if you forget. So my baking powder, tap out the spice from the teaspoon a bit, and then I'm going to add my baking powder. There we go. Anyway, we're going to mix this. There's a bit of liquid in the bottom. Yes, it's a dry mix, but remember, we haven't added any butter and we haven't added the sultanas, which are wet. And I'll show you the secret to that shortly. Anyway, I'm just going to scrape this down because there is some wet in the bottom. Scrape this down. Oh, my timer has just gone off. And I'm just giving this a mix through with this spatula. I'm not worried about it being perfect because, yet again, as I've said, there is more to go in here. Right. Awesome. Right, we're going to go back out there and salt the butter while this just sits here waiting. As you can see, that's been simmering quite nicely. Now I've turned it off, and I am going to just keep the lid on for a minute. I want it to stay hot because the next part of this recipe is the butter, which we get ready. It's a half a pound of butter, or 250 grams, that we're going to do. Now, you don't have to measure it, but I actually do nowadays, because I find that these measurements on the paper aren't always, they're not great. So I do actually weigh it. So I'm going to get my scales. Can you see that? Yes. I'm also going to get a knife. It is already at room temperature. And a wee plate or a bowl that we're going to sit on here. As long as we can see our measurement, put it forward there. I tend to keep butter at room temperature. We're going to do a guesstimate. We're going to do a guesstimate before we put it on the scale. Our scales don't last very long on, so I either have to move quickly or I just re-tear it. So it's 253 grams, okay. I've been measuring butter for a while, so the more you do it, the more familiar you become with how much it looks like. And it was in the nick of time, so I'm just going to put this over on the other bench. It can be used to line the tin, which no, I haven't done yet. And yes, I do tend to wipe and clean as I go, so I'm going to put this back in the pantry. And this I'm going to drain the water from. I'll take you with me so you can see how much I drain. But I'll take this over and then I'll come and get you. Right, so here we are, and I've got this to drain. So it's got fine bits of fruit, so you actually do need to hold back quite carefully. Right, as you can see, it's still quite wet. I don't know if you can see it, but it is still quite wet. I haven't drained every single drop out of here. Because I do believe that it's good to leave a little bit of moisture in. I have tried it where I've left it just about covered with water, but the recipe did not tell me what to do at this point. So this has been a lot of trial and error. So I did try having it where I left it covered with water, and those cakes ended up burnt and splitting, but it just left a very different textured cake. Actually, I can show you one because we have been nibbling on one for the last week or so. So just so you can see it did burn because I had to cook it for longer because it was so wet. But also, if you look inside there, see there, it just ended up a little bit on the dense side. It's not raw batter, it just ended up like almost too wet. So yeah, that's just so you can see. There's one I prepared earlier, and I also, when I cook them, I've cooked a few and put them in the freezer so they're ready to go over the Christmas period. Right, so that's now done, and now I'm going to go back to the I don't have to go back to the other bench. I'm actually going to go and get that butter. Now before I put this in, I'm actually going to just break it up a bit because it's going to melt in here, which is what I love about this recipe. That's what makes it easy. There's no creaming the butter and sugar. The sugar's already been dissolved in the egg mixture, and we're going to put it in here. This is why I don't mind it being 253 grams. You always lose a tiny little bit in that pulling it together. So put that over there. I'm going to put the scales away. Now remember, I haven't prepared anything for this. I'm going to put the lid on, which will help that heat through. And I'm now going to prepare the tin. Now the tin size I use, I think I've measured it before. Do I remember what the measurement is? No, not really. So I'm going to angle you down more so you can see the bench. So you can cook it in a round tin or a square tin. I tend to cook it in a square tin because a square tin is just easier to portion out, to cut. A round tin's great for it being pretty decorative, maybe for Christmas Day, but this one is just going to be easy to cut. I'm actually doing it for to be given away along with some other baking, so it is, yeah, it's going to be fantastic to be able to do that. Put these dishes away. Now, I haven't lined it yet, you might say. I'm glad you asked. What I'm going to do next. Firstly, I'm going to spray the whole tin, and I do that to preserve my tins. I've had this for many years, and it really does help them to do this. Otherwise, you're buying new tins every year or so. So I spray it with canola oil. I don't use a lot. This lasts me for months. Canola oil spray. So it's not a massive spray, it's just to give a coating. It makes sure that the cake doesn't stick to any nooks and crannies that are missed, but it also ensures that the baking paper will stick to it. So I'll put that away. And then, because I used quite a bit of butter, and I ended up getting the butter paper, I'm going to use this to line it. Now, with a cake, you don't have to line the whole thing. The main part you're wanting to line is the bottom. I'll rip these bits off because they're just going to annoy me. The main part you want to line is the bottom. And yes, there's butter on it, that's okay. So lining the bottom means, and having it up the sides here, just means you're going to have something to help you lift it at the end. I've already sprayed it with canola oil, that's not a problem, but this just means that I'm going to be able to lift it out at the end when it's cooled down in the pan. So that's why I always like to line the bottom and have it come up the sides, even if it's only one way. And this is money saving, you are repurposing something. But if I was to do baking paper and I had plenty, I would do one strip that way and one strip that way. But today I'm not going to do that, and we'll see if it works okay. I'm just going to rinse my hands because they're oily, and then wipe them on a towel. So the butter I'm going to mix through. As I said, I didn't prepare anything before this. I decided I'm going to do it, and I do it because sometimes what happens is we all think we've got to have things measured and perfectly ready to bake, but sometimes we actually just want to get the baking done and get into it. So I'm just going to mix this right through the butter. It's had plenty of time to soften, because remember, this was boiling hot. So I'm mixing it through. And as you can see, at every stage there is time to do every other part of the process. We're not having to do one part, stop, do the other part. We've worked out that we can have this going while we do the egg mix, and then when that's done, when we've done the butter, we can line the pan. So there's actually no having to have all your ducks in a row before you start either, which I love about this recipe. Well, that butter's just about all melted. Doesn't have to be all perfectly melted, but it's a nice butter mix that we're now going to integrate into our flour and egg mix. So come with me back to the pantry. So I have my mix here, and I'm going to put it in. Using the spatula to get all the rest of the butter and juices out of the pot. Awesome, so the pot's nice and clean and clear. Now we're going to mix this through. Oh, look at that. And we're going to use our spatula from here. That didn't take long, but I can see that we need to integrate it a little bit more, but I'm going to use my spatula. because I don't want to overbeat it. So can you see what I'm doing here? At the bottom, when I turn it over, can you see? There is cake mix that didn't mix in. You can see it here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing it from the bottom, so you can see bits there that haven't mixed in. So I'm bringing it all from the bottom to the top. I mean, honestly, even when it comes to putting it in the pan, I sometimes get to that point and go, oh, I haven't made sure it's integrated. That's actually okay. I actually have, even before, put it in the cake tin and then gone like this in the cake tin. It's not a fussy cake. Nice, that's well integrated. So we're going to take this with us. Now I see I've just made a mess on here. So before I push this away, just check if it needs a wipe. Push it back for now, because I don't tend to put it away until I've put the bowls back and on it. So here we go to the bench. So our final step here is that we're going to put this into here and cook it. It's only got a teaspoon of baking powder, so it's not and because it's a heavier, denser cake, it's not got a massive rise to it. So that's why we get away with this tin, even though it looks like a lot, and you'll see when I put it in. So here we go. It's nice and thick. I can smell the almond in it. It's not too strong. I'm not a fan if it's all almondy tasting. I think that's where the vanilla essence and the lemon essence just cut through it quite nicely. So I'll scrape that out pretty well. I'm just going to put this in the sink. And I'm smoothing it out. Let me know if you can see enough from that camera angle too. Oh, there's a bit of cake on the bench. Wipe it on the cloth. It will smooth out on the top, so I'm not too panicked about it. So that's now going to go in the oven. It says to do it for about 45 to 50 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 40 minutes, then I'm going to check on it. So yeah, here it goes in the oven. So on my watch, custom 40 minutes. Starting. So I can actually ignore that after 40 minutes, and just to show you how you can finish your baking without too much stress on your plate. I mean, all I need to do is fill that sink with water and hand wash those dishes if I want it to be done and dusted completely, and not filling up the dishwasher for all the next bits and pieces, but I'm going to show you. So there's that dish there. There's just a couple of dishes here. That's just these utensils really. The rest of it is my prior mess. Like I said, I didn't set the scene. This will go away when I've done those dishes. And this here. But because I wiped as I went, I don't need to re-wipe. I just need to take these, put them over here, and yeah, no fuss. Right, for my cake, fruit cake, here we go. Oh look, it's giving me a wee bit of resistance after the extra 5 minutes. I'm now going to get a skewer to check. Up to this point I don't do that, and I will show you how it comes out. If you have a look at the skewer here, it's still a bit doughy. That cake there, it's very soft and doughy. So I wouldn't call that coming out clean, so I'm going to give it yet another 5 minutes. Right, we're going to have another look at this fruit cake. Look at my cheeks, they're warm from being inside. And the oven going, and I've been doing a bit of cleaning. So, here we go. See the cake. Oh, it's got more bounce now. Sticking the skewer in. I'm quite happy with that. I'll try and show you why I'm happy with it. Can you see that? So that bit that's there, it's not it's cakey, it's not sticky, it's cakey. So I'm quite happy that that is ready to take out of the oven and cool. So I'm going to do that. It's very challenging finding good spots for you to sit. There you go. It's quite a heavy cake, so be prepared for the weight of it. And yes, it's pushing back on my finger when I press on it. It's got holes, right? Let's shut this and turn it off. Holes. They're really splits, scars, whatever you like to call them. I'm actually going to open a can of ginger beer. It's just good old ginger beer. Ginger ale also works a treat doing this. And this is just something I do to soften the cracks and put back a wee bit of moisture, because it just could be that I didn't leave enough water in, too much water in, who knows, but this is something I've always done. You could put alcohol in here if you wanted to, sparkling grape juice. It does add another depth of flavour to your cake. I've put port or sherry. I've done this with port or sherry before. So I'm actually just putting in all those cracks. And yes, I'm doing it while it's hot. So it's probably what you would call my secret ingredient, but it's not always. Sometimes it's orange juice. And it does make it a denser cake, but for Christmas, that is fine. There you go. So that's just swimming a little bit with those juices, and we'll leave it there to cool. And I'm going to ice this. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, and let me know in the comments how you went making this cake. It is light and tasty. It sounds like a cereal in New Zealand. It is very light fruit cake, and it is very addictive. People that have it really enjoy it, and yeah, I just can't wait to hear how you've gone. Whatever else you're doing, have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me.